Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavani Paschata Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Jai Prabhu Mother Dandakesh Ajit Prabhu Somen Prabhu BYS Brooklyn somebody is there.
Whoops, that's me, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hey Phil, I thought so, but you have a nickname, nice. Would you like to sing Jai Radha Madhava?
One sec.
You know, you have a good voice.
I have to pull it up. I still haven't remembered it, or at least I'm not confident. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi
Jana
Jana
Vallabha Girivaradhari
Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana
Chodanandana Braja
Brajajana
Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira
Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Okay, Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. So we can fold our hand and pray to Lord Sri Vasudev, the predominating deity, God of consciousness, to clear our conscious, no, to bestow blessing so that we can have his beautiful form visible to us, and we can literally ascertain what he's trying to say that is required in our life through this Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnati Mirandasya Gyenanjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namo. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Gunathanitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Saminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschat Deshatarine Pancha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Titanam Pavonebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare. Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear Prabhus, mothers. Thank you for joining this beautiful session of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And hopefully we'll be able to start from chapter 9. Last week we started the first sloka. We discussed about danger. Lord Krishna revealed that because Arjuna doesn't have any envious. I'm sure all of you do know what is envious means. Anasuyabe. Anasuyabe means, Suyabe means envy. Anasuyabe means you are not envy. So you will understand Bhagavad Gita or Krishna will reveal. Now, how do you know if we are free of envy? So if we don't understand Bhagavad Gita, obviously there is some envious qualities within us. Like in our scriptures, we find Amoga. Amoga was envy because Lord Chaitanya, as a sannyasi, enjoying big feast. Now, it's not his preparation. He doesn't have to pay for it. But why he is becoming envy? So Prabhupada says to Siddha Sarup Prabhu, it's in Veda base. When someone has a rightful ownership to possess something, but in my mind, I do not allow that. Like for an example, say Philip has a nice gold chain in your neck worth few $1,000s. Now in my mind, I'm thinking why he has the gold chain. It should be mine, in my neck. He doesn't deserve to have this. Now, did I give him? No. Did I have anything to do with his ownership? No. Then why I'm not allowing it? That is called envy. You may not find any reason for it. But in my mind, I think I deserve it, not him. So we see in our scriptures, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna doesn't talk about Duryodhana, but the whole Bhagavad Gita discussion took place because of Duryodhana declare non-cooperation with Krishna's plan. So that's why war is inevitable. So that's another envy. Daksha was envy to Shiva. Did Daksha give any power to Shiva? Has any? No. But he doesn't like why Shiva has more power than him. I'm not saying any one of you ever think like that, but I can relate. If someone is more powerful than me, I'm thinking like, why? Why not me? Suruchi, envy to her stepson, Dhruva Maharaj. Shishupal, from his childhood, envy to God, Krishna. So we learned few things. There are two types of envy we learned. One is called white envy, another is called black envy. Now, maybe some of you never heard it. White envy means I want to have what that guy has. I cannot have him in my mind, possessing that things. So that's Prabhupada's definition of envy. Prabhupada explained that where this idea of envy comes from. Another is a black envy. Black envy means hostility to others. Just like Prabhupada says, humans should not be envy to the cows. Now, when I was hearing this, how are we envy to cows? We're not fighting for the grass. I mean, we don't eat grass. Cows eat the grass. So what do we are envy about? So then Prabhupada explained that everybody has a right to live. Cow has a right to live. But there are some human beings, not some, majority human being in this world, meat eater or beef eater, they don't think cow has a right to live. Only they have a right to live and cow is their food. So when we don't, I mean, it could turn into inside the temple also. Like for an example, somebody may give better class than me. Now, if I don't allow, I'm thinking like, why? I should be the number one. That means I'm envy. Now, why we are talking so much about envy? Because Krishna says, so long that contamination. Envy is an emotion. I hope everybody understands. Envy is a very powerful emotion. There is two emotions are the most powerful. One is resentment, hate, envy. These are very powerful emotions. Anger. Envy blocks our perception to the truth, divine truth. We may be reading Bhagavad Gita, we may not grasp it because there are deep down in our heart, there is some envious lingering. Now, I'm not attacking anyone, but each of us can detect. If I'm not grasping Bhagavad Gita, then maybe some deep down, some enviousness is lingering. That's what causes this. Envious people also does two activities, two types. One is they will always try to be the best successor of all amongst friend or whoever. I have to be the top. And second activity they do, they stop other to be successful like me. When I try to stop other to be successful like me, whatever success, then I'm envious. So these two function, two way we can check. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very kind. He says, in the eternal state of the living entity, love of God, prema, is the only prescription. Very interesting. Prema is the only prescription, and envy is the only prohibition. Oh, Prabhus and mothers, you cannot enter into the domain of spiritual world so long we are envy to God. Now, just a simple question. How can you be envy to God? Can someone help me? And then we'll go to the text today's. But let's discuss this for 1 minute. Can you really be envy to God?
Yes, Prabhu. For the eternity, we can be we can see that we are envious to the God. We are thinking that one is the power and another is the eternity.
He has it. I don't have it. Why? Very good. Very good. That's thank you for pointing out. Anyone else? Can we be really envy? I know we don't talk like this. Anybody? Maybe you don't understand because you are never envious to God.
Prabhu, maybe fascination leads to envy. You're fascinated by, so therefore you envy.
You're fascinated by. Okay.
So therefore it leads to envy because you're so intrigued and fascinated by. So fascination leads to envy.
That's very interesting way to look at it. Anyone else?
Maybe you don't like following his rules and you're mad that he has rules that you have to follow and you can't make your own rules.
That's we are bound to die. He made the rules. Why not I make the rule that I will not die? That's true. That's true. That's very true. Anybody else?
That he has all the power, that he has all the power, he owns everything. Why not me? Eternally.
That's a very legitimate.
I mean, a crazy thought. We should not think like that. But since you're, yeah.
I know. No, I agree with you. But deep down in our heart is like, why God has all the power? Why not me?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. I agree with you. Yeah. So deep down in our heart, there are some envy, and we should be very, very careful because it prolongs our existence in the material world. We want to get out of this. And Krishna also wants us to get out, come back home happily. But this envy, problem with the envy, it will not go away. You have to let it go. I don't want to think that way. Bhishmadev is a good example. Bhishmadev, he was on the opposite side, but he said he never maintained resentment of Krishna, knowing his character. Even though he knows he is the cause of everything happening, all the suffering. Knowing that Krishna is the cause of Duryodhana's war. But he said, I see Krishna only one reason. He is the only cure of all my problems. He is the cure. So I can never be envy. I don't want to be envy. Voluntarily, he withdrew. But whereas his group leader, Duryodhana, always envy to Krishna. He even wanted to punish Krishna as if he can. He tried. Can you imagine? Somebody tried to punish God. But hey, these foolish people since time immemorial, maybe I was in one life like this, I don't remember, but possible. When Krishna stated Gita's knowledge is not meant for the envious, why is he keeping that knowledge inaccessible from them? Somebody may ask that question. If you look at it, 9th chapter, last week we read this. I'm just recapping before we start text 2. Somebody may think like, why Krishna is keeping this knowledge inaccessible from them? He is in their very envy makes the Gita's knowledge inaccessible to them. The sun does not make itself inaccessible to those who have closed their eyes, Prabhus and mothers. By closing their eyes, they themselves have cut off their access to the sun. Prabhupada gave an example. There could be sunshine outside, but impersonalists, they put the blind shutter. No, there is no sun. They will not open the window to look at it. They will put the blind. I don't believe it. Like an owl philosophy. I hope you all know owl. They don't see, they cannot see during the day. They only see at night. Those who researched about owl, you can see that. So they believe there is no sun. Well, there is no sun because they keep their eyes closed. That doesn't mean there is no sun. It's like a fairy tale that there was a mice and the cat is about to pounce to eat. And the mice saw that cat. He said, no way, I don't believe. So he closed his eye. Said, I don't believe he exists. I'm not afraid. Hey, the mice can say that, I'm not afraid of you. And cat with the open jaw is thinking, what? I don't exist, you don't believe? So our position to God is sometimes like this. It's a stupid, silly things to be envy to God. But hey, maybe I was envy. Otherwise, why am I here still? So that's why I give that example. Sun does not make itself inaccessible to those who have closed their eyes. By closing their eye, they themselves have cut off their access to the sun. The knowledge that Krishna refers to in this section is not just abstract knowledge about life's spiritual side or even conceptual understanding of our spiritual essence. It is concrete knowledge about the glories of the supreme spiritual reality, especially this chapter, Prabhus and mothers. Krishna is all attractive, divinity, Krishna. And such knowledge is about how glorious, personable, lovable Krishna is. To appreciate this knowledge, hearer means you all are, we are, need to have a basic appreciation of Krishna, or at the very least, a favorable inclination towards the conception of personal divinity. Now, however, if we see ourselves as a competitor to such a divinity, if they wish to themselves be the greatest and the best, if we resent the very idea of anyone being so great as to put them out of competition, then we will not find the glories of Krishna palatable. To the contrary, we may well find some glories highly unpalatable. Now, if we are forced to hear such glories, we will feel annoyed, isn't? Irritated. I'm sure you can all relate to that. If you don't like someone and another friend is glorifying about that person, how do you feel? Can someone tell me? Did it ever happen to any one of you? It happened to me. I didn't like someone and somebody is talking good about that person. It irritates. I'm sure you will agree. And such emotions may over time transmography into an aggressive antipathy toward divinity, which can actually impel us into offensive words. I saw one Bhagavad Gita. I would not really believe if I didn't read this. It's Bhagavad Gita. But the commentary of the guy, he says, it is not that Krishna is asking to surrender to a person. It is a surrender to the self, because we are part of the self. It's like, wow, how did he come up with that? Nowhere in Bhagavad Gita any sloka says this. But he says this. And I saw in the airport, in the airport bookshelf, that book was there, Bhagavad Gita. I never heard that before. And then a good thing happened. I went back to that place. I said, actually, I cannot take this book because I don't have a space in the suitcase. So anyway, he refunded. So that was a good part. So for our own good, Prabhus and mothers, Krishna indicates that we are not to be told about Krishna's glories. Otherwise, we'll delight in sharing his glories with others. By stating that knowledge of Krishna's glories is not meant for the envious. Krishna is not depriving them, he is protecting them. I hope you all got it. Because if somebody don't like someone and you tell about good thing about that person, they actually become more irritated than before, more angry than before. So that's why the 9th offense in chanting Hare Krishna, it says that don't tell them the glory of holy name to the envious people, faithless people. Okay, with that note, let us begin today's chapter 9, text 2. Who would like to read? Any volunteer? You have to have a Bhagavad Gita in front of you. Ajit Prabhu or anyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Prabhuji, I'll be glad to.
please do.
Text 2. Raja Vidya Raja Kohyam Pavitram Idam Utaman Pratyak Savayagamam Dharmayam Susukham Kartam Avyayam. Synonymous. Raja Vidya, the king of education. Raja Gohyam, the king of confidential knowledge. Pavitram, the purest. Idam, this. Uttamam, transcendental. Pratyaksha, by direct experience. Avagamam, understood. Dharmayam, the principle of religion. Susakham, very happy. Susukham must be very happy. Kartam, to execute. Avyayam, everlasting. Translation. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. I'm sorry?
No, go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay, I'll start from the beginning. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Purport. The chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called, this chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called the King of Education because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before. Among the principal philosophers in India are Gautam, Kannada, Kapila, Yagna, Welcome, Sandilya, and Vaishvanara. And finally, there is Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedanta Sutra. So there is no dearth of knowledge in the field of philosophy or transcendental knowledge. Now the Lord says that this 9th chapter is the king of all such knowledge, the essence of all knowledge that can be derived from the study of the Vedas and different kinds of philosophy. It is the most confidential because it is the most confidential because confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. The king of all confidential knowledge culminates in devotional service. Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge. They are educated in external knowledge. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, etc. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world and many huge universities, but there is unfortunately no university or educational institution where the science of the spirit soul is instructed. Yet the soul is the most important part of the body. Without the presence of the soul, the body has no value. Still, people are placing great stress on the bodily necessities of life, not caring for the vital source. The Bhagavad Gita, especially from the second chapter on, stresses the importance of the soul. In the very beginning, the Lord says that the body is perishable and the soul is not perishable. Antavanta ime deha nitya shroka sarirana. That is a confidential part of the knowledge. Simply knowing that the spirit soul is different from this body and that its nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal. But that gives no positive information about the soul. Okay. Sometimes people are under the impression that the soul is different from the body and that when the body is finished or one is liberated from the body, the soul remains in a void and becomes impersonal. But actually, that is not the fact. How can the soul, which is so active within this body, be inactive after being liberated from the body? It is always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of the spiritual knowledge. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated here as constituting the king of all knowledge, the most confidential part of all knowledge. This knowledge is the purest form of all activity, as explained in Vedic literature. In the Padma Purana, man's sinful activities have been analyzed and are shown to be the results of sin after sin. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities are entangled in different stages and forms of sinful reaction. For instance, when the seed of a particular tree is sown, the tree does not appear immediately to grow. It takes some time. It is first a small sprouting plant, then it assumes the form of a tree, then it flowers and bears fruit, and when it is complete, the flowers and fruits are enjoyed by persons who have sown the seed of the tree. Similarly, a man performing a sinful act, like a seed, takes time to fructify. There are different stages. The sinful action may have already stopped within the individual, but the result or the fruit of that sinful action are still to be enjoyed. These are sins which are still in the form of a seed, and there are others which are already fructified and are giving us fruit, which we are enjoying as distress and pain. As explained in the 28th verse of the 7th chapter, a person who has completely ended the reaction of all sinful activities and who is fully engaged in pious activities being freed from the duality of this material world, becomes engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, those who are actually engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord are already freed from all reaction. This statement is confirmed in the Padma Purana. Aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam palonam mukhama Naiva Pralayate. Yes. Vishnu Bhakti Ratat Manam. Sorry if I'm wrong, bad pronunciation there. Please
good.
pardon me.
You're good.
For those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all sinful reactions, whether fructified in the stalk or in the form of a seed, gradually vanish. Therefore, the purifying potency of devotional service is very strong, and it is called Pavitram Uttamam, the purest. Uttamam means transcendental. Tamas means the material world or darkness, and Uttama means that which is transcendental to material activities. Devotional activities are never to be considered material. Although sometimes it appears that devotees are engaged in just like ordinary men, one who can see this is familiar with devotional service and will know that they are not material activities. They are all spiritual and devotional, uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. This direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is in course of chanting without offense, feels some transcendental pleasure, and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Furthermore, if one engages not only in hearing, but in trying to broadcast the message of devotional service, devotional activities as well, or if he engages himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feels spiritual progress. This advancement in spiritual life does not depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that by simply engaging in it, one becomes pure. In the Vedanta Sutra 3.2.26, this is also described in the following words: Prakashash cha karmani abhyasat. Devotional service is so potent that simply by engaging in the activities of devotional service, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. A practical example of this can be seen in the previous life of Narad, who in that life happened to be the son of a maidservant. He had no education, nor was he born in a high family, but when his mother was engaged in serving great devotees, Narad also became engaged, and sometimes in the absence of his mother, he would serve the great devotees himself. Narad personally said, Uchista lepam anumodito divyaja sakrta shma munje tad apasate kilbisa evam pravritasha vasudevya chetasa tadharma evatma ruchi prajayate. In this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.25, Narada describes his previous life to be to his disciple Vyasadeva. He says that while engaged as a boy servant for those purified devotees during the 4 months, of their state, he was ultimately associating with them. Sometimes those sages left remnants of food on their dishes, and the boy who would wash their dishes wanted to taste the remnants. So he asked the great devotees for their permission, and when they gave it, Narada ate those remnants and consequently became freed from all sinful reactions. As he went on eating, he gradually became as pure-hearted as the sages. The great devotees relished the taste of unceasing devotional service to the Lord by hearing and chanting, and Narada gradually developed the same taste. Narada says further, Tatran Uma Krishna Katha Pragayatam Anugrahaneshta Navam Manoharta Ta Shradhaya Me Anupadam Vishnumata Priyashravasi Anga Mamal Bhava Ruchi. By associating with the sages, Narad also got the taste for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and he developed a great desire for devotional service. Therefore, as described in the Vedanta Sutra, Prakshasha cha karmani abhyasat. If one is engaged simply in the acts of devotional service, everything is revealed to him automatically, and he can understand. This is called pratyaksha, directly perceived. The word dharmayam means the path of religion. Narada was actually a son of a maidservant. He had no opportunity to go to school. He was simply assisting his mother, and fortunately, his mother rendered some service to the devotees. The child Narad also got the opportunity and simply by association achieved the highest goal of all religion. The highest goal of religion is devotional service, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhoksha saje. Religious people generally do not know that the highest perfection of religion is the attainment of devotional service. As we have already discussed in regard to the last verse of chapter 8, Vedesu Yajnesu Tapashu Chaiva. Generally, Vedic knowledge is required for self-realization. But here, although Narada never went to the school of the spiritual master and was not educated in the Vedic principles, he acquired the highest results of Vedic study. This process is so potent that even without performing the religious process regularly, one can be raised to the highest perfection. How is this possible? This is also confirmed in Vedic literature. Acharyam Puruso Veda. One who is in association with great acharyas, even if he is not educated or has never studied the Vedas, can become familiar with all the knowledge necessary for realization. The process of devotional service is very happy one. Susukham. Why? Devotional service consists of Srivanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lectures or transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn, then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God, nice palatable dishes. In every state, devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. The Lord says, Parnam Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. He is ready to accept from the devotional any kind of offering, never mind what, even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person, regardless of social position, and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances in history. There are many instances in history. Simply by tasting the tulsi leaf offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages like Sanat Kumara became great devotees. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to him.
It's a long purport.
Very
Wow.
long. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is said here that this devotional service is eternally existing. It is not as the Mayavadi philosophers claim. Although they sometimes take to so-called devotional service, their idea that as long as they are not liberated, they will continue their devotional service. But at the end, when they become liberated, they will become one with God. Such temporary time-serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Actual devotional service continues even after liberation. When the devotee goes to the spiritual planet in the kingdom of God, he is also engaged there in serving the Supreme Lord. He does not try to become one with the Supreme Lord. As will be seen in Bhagavad Gita, actual devotional service begins after liberation. After one is liberated, when one is situated in the Brahman position, Brahma Bhuta, one's devotional service begins, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktam Labhate Param. No one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or any other yoga independently. By these yogic methods, one may make a little progress toward Bhakti Yoga, but without coming to the stage of devotional service, one cannot understand what is the personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also confirmed that one becomes purified by executing the process of devotional service, especially by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from realized souls. Then he can understand the science of Krishna or the science of God. Evam prashana manasu bhagavad bhakti yogata. When one's heart is cleared of all nonsense, then one can understand what God is. Thus, the process of devotional service of Krishna consciousness is the king of all education and the king of all confidential knowledge. It is the purest form of religion, and it can be executed joyfully without difficulty. Therefore, one should adopt it. Haribol.
Thank you. Wow, Prabhupada really covered every angle to think, because this verse is very important verse. Rajavidya, Rajaguyam, Rajavidya, the king of education. Just like other day we discussed, Prabhupada says material education is all useless. Now, if you tell this to a PhD or MD or FRCS, excuse me, sir, material education is useless, my spiritual master told me. That will not be a very good thing, because they will not agree, first of all. They will think like, you think I have wasted my life? How can it be useless? Well, in the context, we see that Prabhupada said very true things. Material education is useless because we are at the core spiritual being. We are not this body. You may be doctor, MD. You may be psychologist. We are not the mind. We are not this body. So both finish, the doctor and the psychologist, when we talk about the soul level. Because at the soul level, what we need, three things: purification, heart transformation, that we don't want to be part of this material game, separate existence from away from God, and spiritual satisfaction. So any material education deals, all the material education deals with either mind or the body. They never deal with soul. When we talk about Bhagavad Gita, why it is king of knowledge? Because this knowledge, more we understand and how it's relevant to our existence right now, how it will benefit us, then more we contemplate and act on it, it will start purify our existence. I don't want unnecessary things in this world. To maintain my body, I'll keep it bare necessity. Death is coming, I better chant Krishna's name, purify, purify, purify our existence. When we take this knowledge to purify, then it will transform our thinking, our feeling, our willing. That is called heart. It will transform our heart. And when it transforms our heart, then it satisfies our existence. Will any of the material education will do these three things? Will purify or transform our heart to go to God and satisfy spiritually? No. That's why Prabhupada said it is useless. Because at the core of our existence, we are spirit soul. We are not this body, not the mind. Everything fails. King of this knowledge is the king of education. Most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception by the self, of the self, by realization. It is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. When you come to association, devotee association, or temple atmosphere, you should feel joyful that you're coming to have darshan of the Supreme Lord. Association of his people means devotee association. Honoring the prasadam, having darshan of the personal feature of God. Hear about his glories. Chant and dance with his name. If you do these 5 things, definitely purification taking place. 5 things, always we should remember. Any association, any temple atmosphere, we should have darshan of the Lord, a personal form, that how God looks like, how God so mercifully reciprocate with us. He has a personal feature. Second is, his name purifies our existence. We can hear about his glory. Third. Fourth is association of those devotees where attraction and inspiration are there to become more advanced. And finally, prasadam, Krishna prasadam. Krishna darshan, Krishna bhakta sangha, Krishna nama kirtan, Krishna Bhagavad Shravan, Krishna prasad. These 5 things constitute a legitimate transformation. And then you will be spiritually happy. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, very interestingly, he says that in his Sarat Varshini book, I have it here. one of our devotee, Bhanu Maharaj, translated. He says that Gyan is the, or this knowledge, is the king of all knowledge and the monarch of all confidential subjects. It is extremely pure, and since it directly reveals the nature of the self, it is the perfection of dharma. It is joyfully performed, bestow transcendental and imperishable result. Now, if you really think very deeply a little bit what we just read, big, beautiful purport of Prabhupada. This knowledge is the king of all knowledge. Why? Because it talks about the king, supreme king, Krishna. And it talks about our eternal citizen of the kingdom of that supreme king and our relationship, eternal relationship with the supreme king. Now, there are very various types of knowledge in this world and worship, but there are only king of all knowledge is bhakti, Krishna consciousness. And if we cannot understand that part, that means we are not clearly understood this sloka. The bhakti is the king of confidential subject. Why? Because, in other words, bhakti herself is very confidential. Although knowledge of many varieties, this particular bhakti, or here it says knowledge here means bhakti, along with realized knowledge or vigyan, is the king of them all. And it is the most confidential. In our scriptures, I mean, not exactly Prabhupada's books, but in Veda, it says that all sinful activities are atoned for by knowledge. When you have a good understanding, you don't commit crime because you have fear of the suffering. Just like if there is a fire, I will not touch it. Why? Because I can see if I touch it, it will burn, blister for next 2 weeks, 1 month, I'll suffer. I can see that before I even touch it. So I won't touch. So knowledge definitely keeps us that way. And one Acharya, Madhusudan Saraswati, says this, that this bhakti knowledge can destroy within the blink of an eye the gross and subtle stage of all types of sinful activities accumulated over thousands of lifetimes, Prabhus and mothers, as well as their cause, which is ignorance. Isn't it cool? More we chant, more we do bhakti, it actually uproots. It uproots, means no chance of committing any more sin. That's why it is supremely purifying. Pratyaksha avagamam. If you look at the verse, today's verse, pratyaksha avagamam means that which can be perceived. In other words, you will see. I can see myself, many bad thoughts I had before when I was teenager or young, or to exploit this world, make more money, enjoy this, enjoy that. It disappears after a while. There's no craving. You don't feel like to, yes, it was there, but I cannot recreate because that craving is gone. It's not gone automatically because we are initiative in this process. We're taking initiative. We are seriously performing chanting, morning sadhana. So more we are absorbed in even eating achieves happiness from tasting every mouthful of food, isn't? When you eat, nourishment as his stomach is filled, relief as his hunger is removed. These are practical. No, you don't have to tell anybody, hey Prabhu, when you eat, make sure you taste it. Make sure your stomach is getting full. You don't have to tell. It's the nature of more you eat, you tasting, of course, food has to be prepared with this flavor. You tasting it, your hunger is going away, you are also getting strength back. These three results, that your hunger is going away, you tasting the food, and you're getting your strength back, comes simultaneously when you are eating. Similarly, when you do advance in bhakti, then the craving for material things goes down, goes down, goes down. Satisfied with the life in spiritual connection, yes, satisfaction is there. And you want to grow spiritually more, yes, that hungerness is growing. So these are the symptoms that we are spiritually growing. Now, if somebody say, there could be many questions. I'm sure some of you may have some question. You can also ask that. I was thinking like, religion is not as a cultural phenomenon, but as a spiritual process. This Krishna consciousness. Generally, people in various parts of the world, we see often they follow different religion, isn't it? Even if they are afflicted to the same religion, the way in which they follow that religion vary according to religion, that area or regional culture. And seeing such diversity amongst religion, some people, especially academic scholar of religion, view religion as a cultural phenomenon. For example, they may theorize that people living in woodlands deified the nature around them and started worshipping wooden image. It's possible. In Sierra Leone, Africa, I saw that. Some theorizing conflates that expression of religion with its essential purpose. The purpose is to raise human consciousness from the material level to the spiritual level. So this verse indicates that religion, when practiced with philosophical understanding, it gives direct experience of spiritual reality. And to appreciate religion's spiritual purpose, let's compare the raising of consciousness to climbing up a mountain. Because sometimes when you say elevate your consciousness, sometimes people get lost. So what do you mean elevate? From where to where? And what is the symptom that you are actually elevating? To that purpose, to raise human consciousness from material to spiritual, this verse, when we practice with philosophical understanding, you will experience a spiritual reality. So if you think of a climbing mountain, material consciousness, say example, on the bottom of the mountain. Spiritual consciousness on the, say, Mount Everest or top of the mountain. And various paths up the mountain may start from varying terrain such as rocky, sandy, watery, marshy, snowy. Climbing by a particular path requires equipment appropriate to its terrain. Will you agree? But the equipment is not the essence of any path. The ascent to that mountain top is. Similarly, material conditions vary in different parts of the world. To help people rising from those conditions towards the spiritual level of consciousness, the practical religious process naturally vary in language, rituals, architecture, and so forth. But these culturally specific expressions are not the essence of any religion. The spiritualizing of human consciousness is, as long as we remember that, when we focus on religion's overarching purpose of elevating human consciousness, we can appreciate both its diverse cultural expression and its universal spiritual essence. And by this educated vision, we can respect the spiritual potential of religious practice different from ours. And we can follow our own religious practices, not ritualistically, but purposefully for spiritualizing our consciousness. Okay. Any takeaway or discussion further?
I think you said something about it was about envy and resentment, those two. Yeah. So I was actually wondering, right? So they seem pretty sticky, like it takes a long time for them to go away. So while you're going through this process of gaining knowledge, like how much knowledge do you need to cut through maybe resentment that might, build it up from childhood or any of those things? Like how does the process of acquiring knowledge work to cut through that? And when your knowledge isn't strong enough, then how do you either tolerate it or rely on others to cut through it? Like what's that process look like?
Well, first of all, you have to acknowledge that there is some envy within me. I have to acknowledge that. Because if we don't acknowledge, then the idea of correction is not even there. So let's check those 10 points that I mentioned, I think last week. Yeah, last week we started. First one was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's things. He said, we don't have a tendency to make offenses to another devotee. Now, what is offenses means? Means I will not do something that will disturb that person's mind to not serve or find enthusiasm to serve God. If I make a person leave ISKCON or go away from Krishna consciousness, definitely an offense, a serious offense. Now, even I didn't check anything, but due to your presence, if somebody feel he or she wants to serve the Lord more nicely because your inspiration, that is a counter to the offensive nature or resentment, you can say. So that's one. Second, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I'm paraphrasing, does not consider the demigod to be independent, for his intelligence is absorbed only in Krishna. Yet, he does not disrespect them. So two things. One is, the demigod are never independent, first of all. Second, they are not equal at any level. Okay, didn't work out with Krishna, I'll just go to Shiva or I'll go to Jesus. That's no. This is like some guy didn't work it out. I go to his boss or go to somewhere to get this, what I want to get it done. It is not proper with Krishna. Because Krishna does care for each of us. He really wants us to come back. He is the most benevolent. There is nothing we should ever think wrong with Krishna. So that we should do that. How do you get out of it? Let's start glorifying every day. One sentence, one line. You go in front of the deity or in your altar, say, my Lord, you are so wonderful. And these are the reasons you give. That even though I'm not qualified, but you are pulling me to come and serve you. This is your magnanimity. I don't have a tendency, but thank you for granting your vision. Thank you for granting your, opportunity to serve you. Like this, you keep on one sentence, something every day. It's a good habit, eternal habit. Even in spiritual world, they do. So then this second offense automatically disappears. Third one, I'm saying something practical. Third, he says, third envy symptom is like shows appropriate respect to the spiritual preceptor. Appropriate respect, like if somebody helped you, now nobody will say we are not against Rupa Goswami. Some people may not even know who Rupa Goswami is. But something relevant to my life. If Ram Roy told you that we should chant, we'll be happy. And if I think like, what does he think? I don't know that. Why he has to tell me that? No, we should rather be happy. Say, thank you. This is what I believe. You're just reconfirming being a leader. So we should appreciate immediate leaders, whoever around us, wherever we are. Then the disrespect to the other teacher will disappear slowly. Number 4 is appropriately honor the Bhakti Shastra, which include the Srutis, Bhagavad Gita like this. Even we can finish the class now, but in your mind you say, Bhagavad Gita is so nice. It's the king of knowledge. I like that. Just think one line and appreciate. Start appreciating. Just start appreciating. Every day, open the Bhagavad Gita, one line. Yeah, this is very nice. 9.2, today we read Rajavidya Rajoguyam. This is the most confidential of all confidential scriptures or information. Okay, I like that. Just appreciate. Appreciation can be also you reveal that to somebody else. Do you know Bhagavad Gita is the king of all knowledge? Really? Yeah. I didn't get it yet, but I want to get into it. Be honest and just tell them the truth. The next one, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, give up unnecessary argument and develop the faith that the holy name and the possessor of holy name, means Supreme God, are non-different. And he considered the holy name as the highest worshipable reality. So we have to be honest, like even if I don't understand how the possessor of name, like in Bengal, there was a lady whose son was born blind. So there is a Bengali name called Padma Lochan, lotus eye. Now if you say, this child doesn't look beautiful, but his name is Padma Lochan. His name is beautiful, but he's blind. How can he be very beautiful? So we may say like this, that there is a difference between the possessor of the name and the name. They don't match. It says beautiful eyes, but he's blind. Well, that doesn't look like beautiful eyes. But with the holy name, Krishna, his kindness, merciful, the origin God, possessor of the name, and Krishna's name are same. Even if I don't understand, I should just accept it and say, my Lord, the holy name, please help me to have a strong faith on you, to understand you. Like this simple way we can relate. We'll get out of this envy and resentment. Number 6 is, does not engage in sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. On the strength of the holy name means, on the strength of the holy name means they think, what am I doing? Something illegal? Oh, I'm chanting every day so many rounds. It'll be okay. No, no, no. Sinful activity is sinful activity. Counteracting because I'm chanting, I'm a good devotee. This conception, it's deadly danger. And how it is related to envy? Hey, that's how the envy comes. That's where the residue, the envy holds there. Another poem Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, does not consider pious activities as dharma, vows, austerities to be equal to the holy name. No. God, his name are equal, but they are never equal to any pious activity or faith or any other spiritual activity. No. God is above all, more powerful than anything. Holy name is above all. They're never compared to anything else. Okay, I will not chant. I can do some relief work, will be the same. No, it is never same. You can do the relief work, but don't compare. Holy name is above all. He is God. The name is God. Supreme power. Another is, has complete faith in the glories of the holy name. According to the Shastra. But I don't want to maintain that faith, or I don't have that faith. Now, if you say, well, if I don't have a faith, how can I say I have a faith? Okay, then in that case, you are honest. Then you go to the holy name. Say, my Lord, holy name, I don't have a faith on you. Can you please? 7.1 Bhagavad Gita, 7.1. Sorry, 7.21, not 1, 21. Krishna says, Jo yam yam tanum bhakta saddhaya orchitam ichchati. Tasya achalam saddha. Achalam saddha. If you pray to Lord, say, I want strong faith on you. Krishna will give you. But you have to pray for him. Krishna says, Jo yam yam tanum bhakta saddhaya orchita ichchati. If you want to pray to me to worship some God, or you can say even to worship him, Krishna will give you the faith. And the last one is, does not identify himself with the material conception. So non-envious alone is liberation, and enviousness is entanglement. That's why Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhulila 9.361, it says, Chaitanya Charita Suna Saddha Bhakti Kari Matsajya Charya Mukhe Bala Hari Hari. Please chant without any envy nature. Then Holy Name will be revealing to us and Bhagavad Gita will reveal to us. Is that make sense, Phil? So we should do this every day. Just try little, and then it becomes a habit. Start praying whenever, wherever you are. My dear Holy Name, I don't have a strong faith. Can you please allow me? Please give me that faith so I have a strong faith on you. For all this. And then you'll elevate your consciousness for sure. I hope that helps you. Thank you. Okay, any other Prabhus and mothers? If not, I'll see you all next Wednesday, Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, Mother Shivani. Okay, she raised hand.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna
Mother.
Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam. Could you
Dhanyavad.
please, the last two ones, can you please, I was writing them down, can you please repeat them?
Last two ones. What do you have so far? Does not make any offense to sadhus?
I have, does not consider pious activities to be higher than the holy name. The holy name is supreme power and is above all. After that, the last two I didn't get.
Have complete faith in the glories of the holy name, according to Shastra. And then last one is, you don't identify yourself with the material, you don't identify the holy name with the material conception. I think holy name is like, when you take medicine, you feel better, like that, something like that. No, holy name is much more than anything.
What do you mean when you say
It doesn't identify
Yeah,
himself with the material conception.
So what does material conception mean?
Material conception means I chant, yeah, I feel good. What do you mean you feel good? Do you feel good because you don't have a headache or you don't have a physical pain? Or you feel good because it's purified your consciousness? You really feel you are advancing. So if you say, I feel I'm getting attracted to Krishna, then it's spiritual consciousness. It is spiritualizing. If you just feel like, I don't feel good, I won't chant. So in other words, bhakti does not sustain on mental feeling or, tribulation. Hey, there's a fear of COVID, keep on chanting. These are called material conception. You'll get better, keep on chanting, COVID will go away. That's not the reason you should be chanting. Because if COVID doesn't go away, then you think like, look at, I was chanting, COVID didn't go away. I got COVID. But holy name is not to remove your COVID. Holy name is supposed to uplift your consciousness, take you back home.
Right.
But there are some people, they measure holy name with the material suffering, material misery. Yes, you can get a lot of material result also, but you should not count those. Not on that material conception. If that makes sense?
Yes. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, looking forward to see you next Wednesday. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pancha kalpataruvesya kripa sindhave pacha. Patitanam pavunebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Samaveta Vaishnava Brinda ki jai.